Welcome. In front of me is a Samsung Galaxy Note 20, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a brief overview of the phone itself. So starting out, this is the box that it comes in. Nothing really shown much here. We have a really faint N20, black on black, which I can't even... Oh, there we go. It's barely visible now. So as you can see, the only thing you can see on the box is also the pen. And also on the side we have the Galaxy Note 20. So let's pop it open, and at the top, as Samsung usually fits those paperwork and everything on the top part, we have this box, and inside of it SIM eject tool. And let's pop this out, and simple paperwork, so no casing, no nothing. Drop it to the side, take the phone, put it to the side too. We're gonna come back to it soon. Then in here we get the charger. Now this is a Type-C to Type-C charger, something that Samsung started doing with their newest S20s and, well, apparently Notes too. So it might prove some problems later on. I had problems with the Type-C to Type-C not charging always, but I don't exactly remember if that was to do with the Samsung phones or some other ones, because they're not actually the only one that started doing it. Then inside we got empty little box, charging cable, so that Type-C to Type-C, and the typical AKG headphones. Now again, there is no headphones, wireless ones, the earbuds, even though I really see that this should have been a great fit here, to add the wireless buds instead of the typical trash wired ones. So yeah, I just dropped it to the side for now. Nothing else in there, and move to the phone itself. So it is already set up, as you can see, and I did some tests in a way to see how it works and just general stuff. So starting straight off with the display, it is a 6.7 inch 1080p by 2400 display, Super AMOLED. After all, it is Samsung, so they always basically drop AMOLEDs everywhere. With a 89.2% screen to body ratio, and well, not very impressive, I would say, 393 pixels per inch. That is because this is just a 1080p display on, well, a fairly big sized display. But it also is HDR 10 Plus certified, and the glass itself is a Gorilla Glass 5, so basically as good as it can get almost. Then, as you can see, the phone has minimal bezels. Obviously, looks fairly nice. Probably the biggest difference I see from the Ultra version, if you're wondering, is the fact that this display actually isn't curved, and it comes with a super crap 60 Hz refresh rate for a flagship device that costs $1,000. Now this is, in my opinion, where the phone starts to kind of fall apart and defeats the purpose of calling it a Note. So I will say that I do really like Samsung devices, but this one has literally no place and a reason to cost this much. If you're making a flagship device and you're charging for it at $1,000 and above, it should already have everything that it possibly can, not skimp out on it and then add it to Ultra version, which is even more expensive. It's just crap. So moving on to the cameras that are on the back. So we have triple camera setup on this device. At least the Ultra has more. So the main shooter is a, well, not very impressive 12 megapixel sensor. Then you have a telephoto lens of 64 megapixels and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. So as you probably see, there is no macro lens in here, but put that all together and it does shoot fairly nice videos. But when it comes down to photos, it kind of falls apart, I would say. So videos are amazing. It shoots at 8K 24 frames. Then also, if you drop it down to 4K, it shoots without any problem at 30 and 60 frames. And if you drop it even lower to 1080p, you have 30, 60, and also 120 frames, which is not slow motion. It's just straight up 120 frames. And also does a slow motion of 1080p at 240 and slow motion at 720p of 960. Now the 960 is a little bit excessive. It literally, if you're recording something like a screen, you will see every frame showing in like 3-second period. So it does, in almost any kind of circumstance, it seems almost redundant, I would say. I mean, I really like it, don't get me wrong, but I don't really see a use for such a slow motion. It literally makes the image look like it's standing still. So apart from the back cameras, we also have the front single camera, which is a simple 10 megapixel wide sensor. Again, it does shoot at 1080p 30 and 60, and I believe also at 4K 30, but let me quickly check it. So let's go into the settings. So we have the front. No, it actually shoots also at 4K 60. So yeah, now I believe I also checked it out and it worked really well. And as you can also see on the video, it keeps up, looks really nice here. The detail is there. So the cameras on here for strictly recording are, well, amazing, I would say. But when it comes down to photos, it does kind of fall apart. I feel like it's missing quality. My phone, which is a Mate 20 Pro, and the device is about like 2 years old now, shoots basically as good photos as this. So the photos here, just freehand held and shooting the same object, I would say are basically the same. And for a device that's supposed to be a flagship, it really isn't amazing in any way in terms of photos. It didn't wow me. So now moving on to the specs itself of the device, and not talking about cameras. The device has an Exynos 990 with a 256 gigabyte built-in storage and 8 gigabytes RAM. Now I believe there is no way of expanding the storage, so 256 is all you get. But it does have a UFS 3.0, so that is really nice for writing and reading speeds on that storage. Then the battery is a 4300 milliamp hour battery, although the charging is nothing, again, impressive. Comes in the box with a 25 watt charger. For a flagship, again, no, just no. I want to see at least 40 watt charging if I'm paying for a $1,000 device. Then moving on, it does also have wireless charging, so that's a thumbs up, but again, it's barely crap at 15 watts, so nothing really groundbreaking here. They didn't really push anything far. And also reverse wireless charging for things like your earbuds at 4.5 watts, so the wireless reverse charging was always nothing spectacular, but I would have expected the normal wireless charging for the phone itself to be higher. Which I will touch up and change to a different phone for a second, just to put in a perspective the price and the reason why I'm kind of so harsh on this device. So Xiaomi released a, Mi Note 10 Ultra. The device is basically the best on the market apparently, has one of the highest marks for photos. Now I never had this phone in my hand, so I can't really vouch for it, but you can be sure that once I get it, I'll check it out in full. The problem with the device that I also mentioned is the fact that it's right now being sold only in China, but if you can get it from there, I'm pretty sure it's gonna blow this phone out of the water. With majority of the things, like for instance wireless charging of 120 watts, or not wireless, the wired charging of 120 with a brick that has 120 watt charging. Wireless charging at 40 watts, which is almost twice as fast as this wired charging. And I'm not sure if it has any reverse charging, so can't say anything about that. But apart from that, the device has basically the best specs that they could possibly have. Now, also, I will say I have no idea what the comparison between the Exynos 990 and the Snapdragon will be. The Exynos might be faster. I have no idea. I will have to check the specs, but if we're talking about basically every part of the device itself, it's almost in almost every single way better. The display resolution about the same, faster refresh rate, twice as fast, and as a matter of fact. And the price is the probably most important part, which costs $780. So I am really harsh on this device because it is worse than Chinese phone that is calling itself Ultra, costs less, and is better in every way. So at this point, I don't really see the purpose for buying the normal Note device. It doesn't even come with 5G, so that's another downdraw of this phone. It was released literally not too long ago in 2020, past half of the year, and it doesn't even bother adding 5G. They decided to drop that for the Ultra version, which is starting to be a really scummy way of trying to mark up the prices of their devices by skimping on the actual flagships that they used to care so much about, and deciding to call S wasn't enough, Note wasn't enough, so let's start making Ultras and basically mark up the price even higher. So honestly, I am really disappointed with this device. I was really thinking about actually getting it for myself, but honestly, with the specs that this phone has, and being probably good at only recording videos and having a pen, I feel like I would be literally dropping my money and wasting it for a device that isn't worth that much. Truly the only thing that it's trying to bring you is the good recording and the pen, thinking that this is going to be enough to get you hooked on, I guess, the base model of Note 20, because we can't even, I don't know if we can call this a flagship anymore, considering in this case the $1,300 Ultra will be the flagship now. And apart from that, one thing that I also missed is the fact that it has an in-display fingerprint, which probably was something that was expected. But like I said, everything in this device to me isn't worth $1,000. And the question for you that I have, is it worth to you that much? Personally, the Ultra is also not worth $1,300 to me. It might be one of the best phones. It might not be. I will have to check it out once I get it. At the moment, I only have the Note 20, but once I have the Ultra, I will check it out, and something tells me that it also won't be worth that much. So, to conclude this video, because I'm kind of going on a rant here, on this brief overview, the specifications of this device aren't anything, well, there are flagship specs, but for the price, I would have expected more in this time. So I am disappointed with this device, and personally I would not be buying this for myself, or would recommend you to get it. There are better options, assuming you're okay with going for something like a Xiaomi. I will not recommend any Huawei's because of the problems that they have, and the fact that they're not being sold in the US. But Xiaomi is, and it's basically starting to be as good as any other flagship device, or even better. So personally, I wouldn't recommend this. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.